I would recommend you go to school because the truancy laws have actually become a lot more intrinsic and a lot more difficult than what they used to be in the past. In the past, they were a lot more simpler. It was like getting a traffic ticket. Now, you're actually going to have a petition filed against you by the prosecutor if you're truant. The prosecutor will review that petition, file it with the court like they would a juvenile petition up in the juvenile district court. Once you get filed on, then your parents and you get served now in person, which is also very similar to the juvenile district court. Also, under the new truancy laws, the school district is required to sit down with you and a parent, unless both refuse, unless both just don't show up, to a meeting called a behavior intervention plan meeting. The behavior intervention plan meeting happens at 3 unexcused absences, either full day or parts of days absences, and that is a requirement. Once they sit down with you and they institute the BIP, we'll call it, then you have to start following the recommendations to improve your attendance. If you do not, and you reach 10 unexcused absences, then you get filed on for truant conduct. It's a referral sent over. It's brought to the court by the state. The state then files their petition, like I said before, and we go forward into court called an adjudication hearing. The court can issue the same exact things the court issued in the past in regards to ordering students to do things like attend tutoring, do community service, lose their driver's license, issue a curfew, have you go to classes for at-risk students. The court can even hold you in contempt of court. The court can then hold a show cause hearing and issue fines. The court can also hold your parents in contempt. Your parents could go to jail for 3 days. Your parents could be looking at fines that if you have 5, let's say you have 5 charges and your parents get charged with 5 cases, your parents could be looking at a fine of $1,500. They could be looking at guardian ad litem fees if the court doesn't feel like your parents are doing a good enough job raising you, and it becomes a complete discretionary issue with the court. And then that charges against your parents at $100 an hour, and I'm told that the minimum on that is 15 hours, so that's another $1,500. If the court doesn't feel like your parents are representing you well, the court can hire an attorney for you, and then your parents get to pay for that as well. And my understanding is that runs about $1,500 as well. So if you're not careful, by you not attending school or doing what you're required to do by the new attendance rules, your parents could be looking at anywhere between $1,500 to about $6,000 or $7,000 in fines. If your parents commit direct contempt because they can't get you to do what you're supposed to do, they could be looking at 3 days in jail, fines, and community service as well. Once you violate your adjudication hearing court order, which is called a remedial order, and you do it and you do it and you do it, then we end up referring you to the juvenile district court, where it'll be required that you are hired an attorney. The juvenile district judge will explain to you their version of a court order, and then they have to tell you that if you're not careful, you could end up in juvenile detention for up to a year. So yes, you heard correct that the municipal courts and the JP courts can't arrest you and can't put you in jail anymore. However, if you refuse to come after being served, we can issue a writ of attachment and attach you to the court, which is very similar to arresting you, bring you before the court, go through your process, hire you an attorney, charge off all that to your parents, require you to do community service still, and require you to attend school. On top of that, if we feel like you're still not able to mind your parents, we can order ankle monitoring systems that your parents have to pay for and are required to put on you. We can require drug testing through your parents, and we can require you to attend drug rehab, counseling, programs for at-risk youth, and of course your parents attend parenting classes. Really, when you look at the new law, not a whole lot has changed except for the fact that your parents can get into a whole lot more trouble, and the fact that you, if you're not careful, instead of getting to work at the JP or municipal court level, you could be stuck in the juvenile district court level, which is the felony court level, and that is just not something I would want to have to deal with. So if I were you, I would probably go to school and attend school on a regular basis. If you're finding that you're having problems with school, I would find somebody on campus that you can trust, or I would go back to your parents if you can trust them and talk with them to try and help work through your issues.